I am going to honor the memory of my Faustino on this All Saints' Day of 1755. Cinco.
Cádiz woke up in silence. The bells of its churches rang for Mass while people walked through the cobbled streets. No one knew they were about to write a dark page in the history of Spain. No one imagined that hell would come from beneath their feet. At 9:35 in the morning, the earth roared. It wasn't just a simple tremor. It was a violent jolt that came from the depths of the Atlantic Ocean, hundreds of kilometers off the coast of Portugal at Cape St. Vincent. But its echo reached as far as Seville, Granada, and of course, Cádiz. The chronicles speak of 3 major jolts within half an hour. The walls creaked. The altarpieces collapsed. The statues of the saints trembled on their pedestals. The faithful fled from the churches in a panic, shouting the name of God. But in Cádiz, the stone held firm. The city walls held. There were no major collapses. Only cracks, only fear. A fear that still had no shape, because the real punishment hadn't arrived yet. After the last tremor, the air became dense, heavy. Some said it smelled like sulfur. Others said the sea was murmuring. And then something happened that chilled the blood of those who saw it. The sea began to recede. The waters of the bay pulled back out to sea, leaving the seabed exposed. Dozens of boats ran aground on the sand. Live fish flapped in the mud, rusty anchors, old cannons, skeletons of sunken galleons. Everything was exposed under the sun. No one understood what was happening.
Have you heard the water keeps receding? Yes. That's what I've heard. We should go see what's happening.
What's happening? The kids were running on the mud. The fishermen were approaching their stranded boats. Some were even celebrating it. Miracle, they said. But on the battlements of Santa Catalina Castle, a veteran artilleryman shouted what no one wanted to hear. Look!
It's a giant wave! Everyone to higher ground right now!
What was coming didn't look like a wave or even like water. It was a wall of death, rising above the horizon, moving forward with a fury no human had ever seen. That first retreat of the sea was just the breath before the scream. The ocean was getting ready to strike, to take revenge, to swallow Cádiz.
The earthquake was the warning. The sea would be the executioner.
10 in the morning. A liquid wall rises on the horizon. No one can measure its height. Some say 10 meters, others 15. The truth is that it rises above the towers and comes closer. Cádiz has no time. The city barely understands what is happening, but the water gives no explanations. The La Caleta area disappears. The shipyards are destroyed. The pier disintegrates. Ships launched like arrows pierce through houses. The sea surges through the streets. It enters through Puerta de Tierra, through Barrio de la Viña, along Calle de la Palma. The water takes everything. People, carriages, bells, chests, soldiers. The sea does not distinguish between saint and criminal. The walls of San Carlos, according to official reports, have been torn away over more than 600 meters. Some towers fall as if they were made of paper. The barges are lifted and smashed against the towers of Santa Catalina Castle. There are reports of corpses left hanging from the coastal cannons. Not even the artillery could withstand the wave. In some churches that were not greatly affected by the earthquake, the wave caught people by surprise during the funeral mass. The chronicles collected by 19th century historians speak of more than 1,000 dead in Cádiz and its bay. Other more cautious estimates put the number of deaths at around 400 or 600, but no one knows for sure how many the sea swallowed. Mom! Witnesses report having seen bodies dragged into the ocean, lost in the depths. And yet there were those who resisted.
By order of the governor, anyone who steals or commits a crime tonight will be executed.
The governor of Cádiz, Antonio de Azlor, responded harshly. He ordered the city gates to be closed, armed patrols to be established, and anyone who tried to loot the collapsed houses to be executed. The city had to stand firm, even underwater. In the neighborhood where the parish of Our Lady of the Palm is located, the neighbors set up an improvised altar, and in the middle of the storm, brought out an image of the Virgin of the Palm. According to tradition, when the priest raised his hands and shouted,
"No further! Oh my goodness! And no more!"
the next wave stopped before entering the square. Many considered it a miracle. November 2nd, 1755. The city smells of salt, blood, and rotten wood. The streets are covered in mud and corpses. There is no fire, but it smells like ash. The sea has returned to its place, but it has taken more than just buildings. Cádiz has survived, but it has fallen silent.
Cádiz did not give up. It was beaten, swept away, flooded, but it never broke.
For days, the death toll was impossible to count. The numbers fluctuate between 400 and 2,000 victims just in Cádiz and its bay, not counting those missing who were swept away by the water. In the streets, entire families embrace each other in silence. The churches remain open, many without roofs. The statues of the saints still stand among the rubble, and still every night prayers are heard. The city clings to its faith as if it were the last wall that hasn't fallen yet. Governor Antonio de Azlor, who had maintained order during the tragedy, now becomes the key figure in the reconstruction. King Fernando VI from Madrid orders a full survey of the damage in all the coastal cities. Cádiz tops the list along with Ayamonte, Sanlúcar, Conil, and Huelva. It is the first time in history that Spain officially faces a natural disaster of this magnitude. Doctors, clergy, and soldiers are arriving from Seville. Food is distributed, makeshift field hospitals are set up in the cloisters, and the dead are buried in mass graves. The fear of the plague fills the air. The impact is so brutal that the government creates a scientific commission responsible for collecting disaster accounts. Official testimonies, ecclesiastical reports, and military dispatches. What began as a natural event becomes the first major seismic study in the Hispanic world. Some consider it the birth of modern seismology in Spain.
The water came with fury, breaking everything in its path as if it were an ancient revenge.
Cádiz did not disappear. The sea tried. It struck with all its might, but it didn't succeed because Cádiz doesn't give up. It cries, it crawls, it bleeds, but it gets up and remembers.
The sea tried to swallow us, but we learned to face it. Without bowing our heads, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share the videos.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share the videos.